We have with us this morning Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who is the Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. He is also the member representing Bende Federal Constituency in Abia State. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you, viewers, for tuning in.
Well, let's quickly take up the issues right now. I mean, the president spoke about 1 trillion naira, which has been assigned or earmarked for constituency projects with little or no value provided to the Nigerian people. Before now, there's always been huge controversy around constituency projects. The response of the House borders more on breach of privileges and also the fact that 50% of the funds, well, only 50% of the funds was what was released. How do you respond to that? Because even if it was just 50%, shouldn't Nigerians be feeling the impact of that?
Thank you, Malcolm. First of all, I want to lay this foundation. The foundation is the National Assembly is in sync with Mr. President in his fight against corruption. And we are not in sync with Mr. President to fight corruption because his name is President Buhari. We're in sync with him because it is our constitutional mandate, provided for in Section 88, subsection 1B of our Constitution. Specifically, Section 88, sub 2B, mention was like expose corruption, was like expose waste and inefficiency. And also in our legislative mandate for the 9th Assembly, especially in our section 2.08, we made it one of our legislative agenda that we will support the executive in their fight against corruption through legislative interventions and also looking at various laws to make sure that we'll beef them up to be able to meet the expected goal.
Are you talking
Having said that...
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Are you talking about the 9th Assembly or you're talking about the House as a whole? Because I think we have to be very specific. The accusation is not against the 9th Assembly. It's against the National Assembly through the years. And I think
you see, you have to start from the known to the unknown. I am a member of the 9th Assembly and I speak for the 9th Assembly. So we're going to start from 9th Assembly and begin to relate or refer to the past years in reference. And what I want to say is that we are in sync with the president in fighting this corruption. But having said that, fake news is the bane of every developing country. Even advanced countries suffer from it. We are not against the work of ICPC. We're not even against the statement made by the president. That is the truth. We're only saying that what is dished out there misinforms the people, misrepresents what is supposed to be. What Mr. President said in his address, which is trending all around now, in paragraphs 7, 8, and 9 of his address, was that 1 trillion has been given in the past 10 years, and the people of Nigeria have not felt the impact. That is appropriation.
I'm going to read it quickly to you because you have made reference to it. It's on record that in the past 10 years, 1 trillion naira has been appropriated for constituency projects. Yet the impact of such huge spending on the lives and welfare of ordinary Nigerians can hardly be seen. The first phase report of tracking these projects by ICPC confirms our worst fears that people at the grassroots have not benefited in terms commensurate with the huge sums appropriated for constituency projects since inception.
This is exactly what I'm saying. You are just confirming what I wanted to say.
Mr.
President said appropriation, the amount appropriated. There is not the same thing with spending. Spending is different from budgeting. When you make a budget, it has to be cash backed. And if you want to benchmark on the budgeted amount, you are being unfair to the institutions. Just for example, Ministry of Works, in the 2019 budget, budgeted 220 billion. But the amount that was released to Ministry of Works was 45 billion. And then you go to the field, you're expecting the minister, Fashola, to do magic. And you want to see 220 billion worth of project. You are being unfair in your assessment of the executive if you do that.
So
now,
indeed,
if you come to the National Assembly,
yeah,
1 trillion, yes, was budgeted for in the past 10 years. But was it what was released? Because to judge the National Assembly with what was budgeted against what was released is totally unfair. And this is what Nigerians want to hear. And that is why we have problem with that analysis that has been given out. So they would have given the president the true picture.
Let me assume, without conceding to you, that indeed what was appropriated was not what was cash backed, was not what was actually given. But let us even assume that 500 billion was what was given. At least 50% of the figure which the president is quoting is what was given. Has there been any thorough analysis to assess the impact that constituency projects actually have on the lives of the people?
I will give it to you now. From the report of the constituency project tracking group made by the ICPC, on page 6, they made a hasty conclusion in line with what you are saying, that it is now confirmed that constituency project is the conduit for corruption. And then they went to page 11 of their report, page 12 and page 13. Look at the analysis they gave, and I'll present it to you. ICPC chose 1/3 of the nation to do the analysis, from where all this news is coming from. And we're talking about 12 states with FCT. And in these 12 states, which is 1/3 of the whole federation, they chose 81 projects. All this we are talking about is 81 projects. Out of these 81 projects, they said that these 81 projects was spread across locations. And because it was spread across location, it became 413 projects that they went to look at. Out of the 413 locations, they received a petition only on 11 projects, making it 424 projects. Out of the 424 projects, ICPC was only able to go to 372 projects. When they went to 372 projects, what did they find out? They found out that 255 projects were completed, which represents 60% of the entire work they looked at. They also found out that 108 of the projects were ongoing, which is 25% of what they were looking at. 60% plus 25% gives you 85%. This is what they found on the field. They also found, while they were investigating, that only 5 projects were abandoned. They found out also, which represents 1%, they also found out that 3 projects did not commence at all. In their research, they found out that 8 projects were recommended for prosecution, while 34 projects, Makwe, went back to site when they started their investigation. Now you tell me, will you take a paltry 1/3 of the nation, 81 projects, to draw such a huge analysis of 1 trillion? Is it fair to use that as a yardstick of measuring, to measure whether or not this work is being done? And out of your own report, you have graded that what you found on the field was 85%. So my question is, why give this kind of reportage? Why not publish the statistics like I just mentioned to you now? I have here with me the report, and I can give it to you to read page 13. Why did they not show this to Nigerians? That actually it was only 8 projects that they recommended for prosecution. That only 5 did, only 5 projects did not commence. These are the details in this particular project. And let me tell you, Makwe, the only money they recovered was 660 million. 660, not billion. But you know, when I was talking about fake news, in August, we received the news everywhere that was trending that 900 billion had been recovered from the National Assembly. 2 months later, They came back and withdrew their statement and saying, oh, it was wrong. Later on, it's coming back again, saying 1 trillion naira is wasted. This is a very unfair report. And who are the victims here? The Nigerian populace, the citizens. They are not well fed with the right information. They should tell them what they found in the field. And you know, some of the projects that were unfinished, like I mentioned, the 108 project that were unfinished, was because the money was not released 100%. What they do, I know, I'm sure you don't know, is what they call the rollover. So if I give you 30% now, I give you 40% now, you move to your site, you only do the job 40% because you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to exist. You cannot give me 30% and expect me to do a work of 100%. I have said ICPC, their budget last year, previous year, did they get the full amount? It will be wrong when they're doing their budget defense. We benchmark them on the entire money that was budgeted. We will benchmark them on the money that was released. And this goes to the military. This goes to the Air Force. Goes to the security agencies. So the amount released and the amount budgeted, they are not always the same. So if you want to draw this report, let it be based on the amount released.
So let me get this straight now. And I think it's very important that at this juncture, we also say that we did invite the ICPC to have their own side of the story here. And they have said that they will come next week, that their week seems to be pretty busy. But let me quickly ask you, is it that are you quarreling with the details of the report? Do you agree with what is in the report? Or you're saying that what is in the report is different from what is out there? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that...
So you do not fault what is in this report? Because initially the first sense I got was that you were quarreling with the sample size. And some people will say that if you're doing a research, it is certainly not possible for you to go around all the constituency projects that have been done in the last 10 years.
Certainly too small to use 1/3 to judge the whole project.
But if you see it...
There is no statistic formula that you can use
on the one hand, you seem to, agree and say it is okay that at least out of the report sampled or out of the project sampled, a huge chunk of them were completed. And if we're to go with that, it should mean that a huge chunk of constituency projects across the country have been completed if we're to go with the sample size. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
Not my words, their own report.
That's my point.
Their report says...
I'm saying is, would you agree with that?
Of course, with what they have reported. Listen, we are not here to fight with ICPC. We are not saying they don't know what they are doing. We're only saying feed Nigerians with the right information.
No, this report, this particular part of the president's speech, did not come from the ICPC report. I mean, he just said that. I don't know where he drew it from. It's possible that he drew it from there, but this is the president's speech. This is not the ICPC speech.
Can I read you the president's speech? I came with it.
You already made reference to it,
yeah, so,
and I read that portion to the hearing of everybody.
I can assure you it came from the ICPC's report.
So is that the fault of the ICPC if somebody drew inference from the ICPC report
it was misleading
into the president's speech?
It is misleading to the Nigerian populace.
Let's push all of this aside and say, yeah, even though that's the reason we're talking about this morning, let's talk about the matter of constituency projects themselves, because even before now there have been huge debates around constituency projects. First and foremost, people debated the validity of constituency projects. The House and the Senate has always defended the fact that they are closest to the people, they know what the people need, etc., etc. However, there's always been arguments on the part of the executive that when we're making plans, we also factor in. It doesn't seem to be proper that on the one hand, it was in the National Assembly has their own agenda or have their own agenda, and then the executive also has its own agenda, that these agendas should be in sync. And that, the impact of constituency projects, you have a borehole here today, a computer center there tomorrow, which oftentimes dies after the member representing the House or representing that particular area is no longer elected. That project usually doesn't work after the person has left office. How viable, how impactful can we even say this constituency projects are?
Very viable. Very viable, because I use my own federal constituency too as a point of reference. There is no presence of the federal government in my federal constituency. I sat with the minister, Fashola, and I told him the road leading to my place was built last in 1976. No single federal government presence. And the role of the House of Representatives is to make law, is to oversight, and to represent the people that have elected us. Representation takes being there to know their needs, to do the needs analysis. You cannot sit in Abuja and do needs analysis for Ben the federal constituency.
So let me assume. Let me assume, because you have given an instance.
Yes.
Let me assume, without conceding to you, that that is the instance that you want to give. First and foremost, you have a governor who is in the state. You have a local government chairman who are in that particular state as well, in that constituency. You have had lawmakers representing that constituency for a while. Now, I know that only recently, and this is out of also reading up on constituency project and also attending some conferences, not just on constituency projects, but also from the perspective of the MDAs.
Yes.
Only recently, the minister whom you talked about, Mr. Fashola, was quoted as saying that lawmakers should perhaps adopt a road as their constituency project. In other words, lawmakers can come together and say, we adopt this road. Maybe yourself and a senator representing your area can say, this is the constituency project which we want. But oftentimes, that is not what happens.
No, but that is what is happening.
Oftentimes, what happens is, they want a computer center, or they want street lights, or they want things that ordinarily should be within the purview of local government are the things that we see represented in the budget for constituency projects. Isn't that right?
Let me inform you that what you just said now is what is happening. The constituency I come from is Bende Federal Constituency. We have Ohafia Constituency, Arochukwu Ohafia Federal Constituency. We have Ikwano Umahia Federal Constituency. We have one road that runs from Umahia through Bende to Ohafia. What do? We come together and we say we want to put this project together.
So
that is what is happening.
That is a recent development.
No, not recent.
That is a recent development, Honorable.
I just came to the house and I can assure you that that particular road was done jointly between the members representing the federal constituencies. This is the fact.
Now, assuming that
there is a lot of assumption out there about the National Assembly. And this is why we want to be engaging with the public from time to time to change the narratives. Most of the information out there are not true. They are half-baked. You cannot tell me that where I come from, the budget of my governor is not enough to go around the whole of the constituencies, and I'm sitting in Abuja, and I have access to the ministries, and there is zonal intervention fund, and we cannot access it to help my people. My people are part of Nigeria. My people in the north are part of Nigeria. My people in the south are part of Nigeria.
There's definitely no justification that a community would not see roads for, you said since 1970.
1976 has not been amended.
No matter how much.
It has not been touched. It was touched by MCC in 1976. This is a fact. So if you don't showcase this to the federal government, we have not gone to regional government. Since we are still in this federation, certain things will come to the federal government with the federal ministries, and the attention will be drawn to the needs of the people that we represent. It is part of our mandate in the Constitution.
Indeed.
Yes.
The question is, how are those needs being represented? Because what they're saying is that if indeed it has been genuine, if indeed it has always been altruistic, by now we should have been feeling the impact of at least, let's use your own analysis, 500 billion naira in the last 10 years on constituency projects. And the people at the grassroots should be feeling this.
Let me ask you a question. They looked at 424 projects. 372 of them they visited. And out of 372, 255 was completed. 108 is ongoing. And you said there is no impact?
What kind of projects are they?
You should be asking ICPC. I didn't go with them. Of course.
No,
they looked at.
You're the one defending the lawmakers here.
They looked at.
You are the one who should tell us what sort of project.
We are being real here. ICPC chose. They used their own yardstick, their own parameters to choose 424 projects, but only visited 372. Out of the 372 in their report, they said 255 had been completed. People are happy, healthy, completion. 108 ongoing, healthy, not abandoned. The only abandoned project, 5. The only one that has not been visited, 3. The only one they recommended for prosecution, 8. And you're still saying there is no impact? If a project is completed, it means that the objective of setting up that project have been achieved. But mind you, all we do as National Assembly, and you must take this point home, we make recommendation after our needs analysis. It is the responsibility of the executive. Let me read you what the president said. President said in paragraph 9, I am therefore delighted that sentence, the number 2 sentence says, the ICPC has my full support and the support of this government to hold fully to account contractors, complicit public servants, and project sponsors. 3, as the stakeholders. Now, out of that 3, 2 are under the control of the executive. The executives control the public servants. The public servants, they are the ones who do the bidding. They sit in the room. We don't sit in the room. They select the contractors. They supervise the contractors. They approve their certification for payment. They release their payment. And all we did was to recommend projects. And you turn around and you say, the National Assembly, if we recommend a project and the executive, they are not happy with it, they have every right to say, no, we cited 2 kilometers away from this project last year. We cannot give you this one. We only did recommendation. We don't come into your bidding room. So the blame goes 2/3 to the executive because they are the complicit public servants. They are as well the ones who select, supervise, and pay the contractors.
You know, I'm trying my best to keep a straight face here because I wish you were as straightforward as you say it is. That, you know,
how do you mean by that?
That lawmakers are not involved in the bidding process.
Are we?
Or that they do not know anything about the contractors.
Are we involved in the bidding process?
I don't know. You tell me if you are. Because I know it's not as straightforward as
It is as straightforward as that. No lawmaker is allowed to be in the bidding room when bidding is taking place.
Indeed, no lawmaker is allowed to be in the bidding room when bidding is taking place. But if you tell me that lawmakers do not have contracts or do not have companies that eventually get some of these contracts and execute the project, I'll be one to disbelieve you, Honorable.
How? How will you disbelieve me? How? Do you have any evidence? No, that is what I'm saying, that there is a lot of false information out there and they put it upon the National Assembly. And it is not true. You control your bidding, you publish your bidding, you control the bidding, you select the contractors, and at the end of the day, you say the people who recommended the projects are the bad ones.
I'll assume without conceding to you that that's indeed how
you have to concede.
That it is straightforward. I mean, it is as straightforward as you say it is. However, when you think of the fact that you have the powers for oversight, there will be huge questions to be asked in that regard, because the reports that ICPC is publishing, some people will say that the House of Reps or the National Assembly should have been the one publishing this particular report as a result of your oversight functions. But we'll come back and have you respond to that after this break. Please stay with us. Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, is still with us in the studios. And I know we're supposed to respond to something when we come back from the break.
Yes. With regards to oversight.
By all means.
Yes, you were saying this report was supposed to be coming from the House of Representatives.
The National Assembly in general. The National Assembly also has duties for oversight.
Yeah, but I'm speaking for the House of Representatives. I'm the spokesperson for the House of Representatives.
Indeed, I know.
Yeah, so, of course, if the provision of the Constitution is clear with regards to what we expected to do in this office, and one of them is oversight, we make sure that we apply the principle of checks and balances, which, when separation of power came, it came with checks and balances to help each other check the excesses of the office, both from the executive and from the legislative arm. Yeah, we have our own report. Our own report is not to be published for the public. Our own report is for us to invite the ministries involved, interact with them, find out why certain things are not going the way they're supposed to, if there is, and make sure that they are fixed.
If it's done for the public interest, why shouldn't the public be aware of it?
The public can only be aware of it if we are doing our periodic publication, which comes from time to time on trending on important issues. For example, quarterly review of the activities of the committee. That is where we gazette all the findings that we make with regards to the executives.
Let's go to Lagos now. I'm not going to pursue the line because I understand that my colleagues have questions for you in Lagos.
Thank you, Marco. Let's begin from here. Honorable, one of the issues that many people have raised about this whole idea of constituency project is, on the one hand, the constitutionality of it, whether or not it is constitutional for the National Assembly, members of the National Assembly, to champion executive projects like constituency projects where we have local governments, in place. So if members of the House of Assembly, members of the National Assembly are championing executive programs, constituency projects as they are, what there is left for the local governments to champion?
If I thank you very much for the question. If I got you right, you're asking whether it is in order for the members of the National Assembly to recommend projects for their constituency. And I said the answer is yes. Like I was telling Marco, we represent the people. And you have to be present in your community to feel their pulse and do your needs analysis. All we do is recommendation. That is all we do. We don't execute the project. It is the responsibility of the executive to execute the project. But as per recommending, you don't expect me as the representative of my people to sit in my constituency office, in the various constituencies, and receive reports about bad roads, about hospitals that are not functional, about lack of clean water, and I'll keep quiet about that. What am I representing them for? To come to National Assembly and speak all the English and go back home? No. It is to carry their needs on my shoulders and bring it to the center to find solution for them. So we are, it's part of the constitutional responsibility to recommend projects that will help us to represent our people better.
But those projects that you're talking about would fall more in the ambit of the governor of the state and the local government chairmen. So if you have to champion those ones, what then are those other tiers of government supposed to do?
We have 3 tiers of government. We have the local government, we have the state, and we have the federal government. And there are ones that the state will handle, there are ones local governments will handle, and there are ones the federal government is supposed to handle. Federal government does not exist in isolation of state and local government. The local government, these federal constituencies, they are what gives the formation of the federal government. What is federal government if you don't have constituencies? It is these 360 federal constituencies that define the federal government. So there are ones that the state will do, and there are ones the local government will do, and there are ones that the federal government have to do to show President that we are part of the federation, because we have not restructured. Until then, we can stop putting burden on the federal government.
But some would say, Honorable, that these projects that you're talking about are just your own way, the politician who in the legislature's way of saying to your people that you are relevant, that what you are supposed to do, you have itemized the main 3 things that you're supposed to do, which includes oversight, representation, and all of that. But does it really include projects?
Yeah, interpretation of representation. I've tried to define representation before now, and I told you it's a constitutional mandate. Representation is that you are present where your people are, and then you are where they are not to talk about their needs. I visit my people, and I do a needs analysis of my people, what is happening around them, and I will take it to where I'll find solution. And where am I supposed to find solution? Where I work. And where do I work? Federal government. So it is within our constitutional mandate. Any day the Constitution removes the responsibility of representation and limits it to oversight as well as lawmaking, you will not hear us talk about projects for our people. These are real needs. I don't know why we are downplaying it. If it's not working in your community, it's working in my community. These are real needs of the people, and we have to showcase it where we will find solution. All we do is to do needs analysis, which is an outcome of the town hall meetings that we have with the stakeholders in our various communities. What they give us, the feedback, we use it to present our needs through the zonal intervention projects, the constituency projects, and they are solving problems. Like I told Makwe, the report of the ICPC shows that they checked 372 projects. 255 of those projects were completed. 108 are still ongoing.
If I may butt in now, just a moment, pardon me. Now, you know, at the end of the day, on a final note, the vital point of this conversation is the fact that there are a lot of Nigerians out there whose lives could have been made better by these, you know, constituency projects. And that's what the president said, that there's little to show for, you know, the funds appropriated. And you and I know that is true. I mean, if you go out there, you see these things. So that's the vital part of this conversation. So on a final note, there are those that are suggesting that since we've been having these issues with constituency projects, so perhaps maybe they should be scrapped altogether for a better arrangement. Would you support that?
How can I support that? That is a misconception. There is a lot of false information out there, and it is influenced by, you know, a certain sector. The constituency project is a system that will be improved like any other system in the world over time. I will not say the implementation is 100% correct. If I say that, I'm being unfair to Nigerians. You know, but it's something we're just like we are working, you know, on our democracy to become the best. It is something that is still ongoing. But to scrap and to wake up and say it is not working for our people, if it's not working for your constituency, it's working for my constituency. My past legislators made one or two impacts. I am there to continue from where she stopped, and I'm sure that is the same thing in various other constituencies. If we leave everything in the hands of those who are handling it without our own needs analysis, you will be giving me electricity when what I need is water. You'll be giving me water when what I need is school. Somebody walked into my office yesterday. You know what he told me? That he was there for me to give him a name to deliver drums, traditional music band. I said, for what? My constituency doesn't need drums, local drums. We can make it ourselves. My constituency doesn't need that. My constituency needs school. We need books in our school. We need libraries. We need ICT centers. We need clean water. How can you be giving me drums that I can make from the bush because I'm from the rural area? So this is what I'm talking about, needs analysis. It will take the representatives to do accurate needs analysis and profile solutions to them.
Would you be providing your own alternative, alternative analysis of constituency projects done so far and their impact on Nigerians? Will the House be willing to undertake such a venture? Of course.
It's something I'm picking from this interview. It's a recommendation I can make to the leadership of the House. And I can assure you the leadership of the House, they are people-oriented leadership. And I'm taking this home that it will be good for us to do our own analysis. But we have a way we operate. Okay. It will not just be by this interview. It will go via emotion in the House. And the House leadership, I am sure, will adopt that we conduct an assessment of all the constituency analysis. But before I end that, it is important to note that this leadership is part of their inaugural speech to go to constituencies one after the other, to check, to assess the amount allocated to various constituencies and what they were used to do. We are going to do our town hall meetings that will go around the nation. The speaker and the leadership will tour the whole federation to see certain selected areas of what is happening there. That way, we'll be able to feel the pulse of the people directly.
Well, on that point, we have to say thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Honorable Benjamin Kalu is Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, and he's also the member representing Bende Federal Constituency in Abia State. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay tuned.